Now that you've exported your file, I'm going to show you how to open it up and edit this. So we have first floor electrical. That's what I had saved mine as. I'm going to go to new, and we want to do a new Google drawing. And then I'm going to go to insert an image from my drive. And if you're doing this immediately following the previous step, it may show up as recent because that was the last thing that I had opened. Otherwise, you may have to navigate to find it. But mine just happens to show up right here. So I'm going to double click that to insert that. Otherwise, you'll have to click on my drive and find it that way. So I have my floor plan here. I want to be able to see it a little bit closer. So I'm going to go to View, Zoom, and go to 200%. And if we go back to the assignment, it says you're going to need to draw on your electrical plan of one of these regions. So full bathroom, kitchen, and half bath, or these different options. So I want to talk to you really quick about this electrical plan. As you can see on here, we have all these switches. That's the S. And then these little circles with the double slashes, those are electrical outlets. So sometimes if you're drawing in an electrical plan, you might want to have a switch where you can access it from two spots. Like if you're going into the hallway, if you travel down the hallway, you might want to turn the light on here. And then when you get to your bedroom, you might want to turn the light off so you don't have to run all the way back down to the other end of the hallway. So it's a three-way switch. That's what it's called because there are three different points: the light bulb and the two switches. It just happens to be called a three-way because of that. So this is a switch with a little tiny number 3. So every time you see a 3, it's a three-way switch. There are two switches that will activate it. If it doesn't have the 3, like this bedroom number 2, then it's just a single switch. And that just lights this light here. So we have a single switch. This three-way is here. Then you can see in the kitchen, there's a three-way switch. You can turn the light on over the kitchen table here. And then all the way over here, you can turn it on. Same thing for the light in the kitchen. There's a couple switches for that, and for the living room. There's also the option to switch outlets. But this is really sort of a weird scenario that they've chosen for bedroom 1. This switch here, the third switch on the left, switches all of these outlets, at least according to this diagram, which is really bizarre. There are homes that will have a switch for one outlet, but for them to switch every outlet seems really atypical. So you probably would not do that, but you might have a switch go to one outlet and then the rest are off of that line. So again, that's sort of weird that they've done that. This switch, SF, goes to switch for the fan. This switch goes to the light. So that's where those are different, S and SF. And then in the bathroom, you have a switch for the fan. We don't put SF because there's a line going directly to that. So you don't need to differentiate that one. And then finally, you have all of your electrical receptacles. By code, these need to be certain distances apart. Usually they're about 6 feet apart, so that they're frequently spaced. I'm not going to have you go that detailed into it. But if you're going to end up doing something like the full bathroom, let me show you how that might look. So let's go into our drawing. If I want to do my bathroom here, I'm going to drag this scroll bar up here so I can see this a little bit more closely. So as I walk into the bathroom, I'm probably going to have a switch. You need to have a fan in your bathroom by code and a light. So I'm going to have a switch for a fan and a light right up here. So I'm going to go to this and add a shape. And let's see, we're going to add a little box right here. And I'm going to make that border color green, and I'm not going to fill it in. We're going to be transparent. So that we're going to say that that's a fan, and then I'm going to make another one for a little light. So I'm going to put a light. Let's say that we have a light right here. Let's say I want to make a what's called a bar light, where it's just a row of lights, maybe above these sinks. So I put one here. I'm going to hit Control C to copy that, and Control V to paste it. So I have a couple lights right above these two sinks like that. Now let's add in our switches. So to add in switches, I'm going to go to a text box, and I'm going to draw a text box here, and I'm going to put S for switch. You see that's giant text. So I'm going to actually change that text color to red and reduce the size of that down to 9 seems okay. That's about as small as the text box will go. And now if you use your arrow keys, you can easily move this around. And if you hold shift down while you're using your arrow keys, you can move it in very small increments. So that really makes it easier to move it around. So I place that where I want it. I need a switch for the fan. I'm going to hit Control C and Control V. And I'm going to use the arrow key, shift arrow to move that up. I need a switch for the light. And I also need a switch for these lights. And I'm going to put these on a separate switch because that's what I'm choosing to do. Sometimes it's kind of nice to be able to operate one or the other if you don't want all these bright lights going. So I have my switches. Now I need to draw the lines for that. So if you'll remember from this drawing, the lines from switches to switches to lights or receptacles, they're always curved lines and they're dotted. And that's just to make them stand out from straight lines that you have within the house. So I'm going to make a curved line, and I can do that by going over here to curve. And I'm going to draw the line from my switch to this. And to make it curved, I have to click here first and then click over to the fan. So, and I click twice to get the line to stop. And I want that to be a dotted line. So if I go over here to line dash, I'm going to hit dash. I actually want it as a dash line. And let's just change the color to make it a little bit easier to see. We'll make it blue. Let's do our second line. So I need a second line going. Let me click off of that. There we go. Now we have a second line established. Click here, and I'm going to curve that in a different place and double click it to end it so that you can clearly see these are different lines. And if you click off of it, whoops, let me hit escape. So I've deselected it. If you deselect it at all, you can always select it again and then make it dashed and then change my color on that one to blue also. So those are set. I need to set one more over to here. So I am going to draw one more line. From here, we'll curve this one also, double click, and change that to a dashed line, change the color to blue. Now, the last thing you need to do is put in your receptacles. So I would probably, in this bathroom, I would probably have a receptacle on this side of the sink for someone who might run a shaver or a curling iron, and then maybe one on this side also for this person. Really, that's all I need. You don't have a lot of outlets in a bathroom. And if you go look at your drawing here, you're going to see it very similar. This bathroom has just one receptacle here. But you notice it says GFCI. So let's draw in our receptacle. I'm going to go into shapes, go to a circle. Let me change this to a different color here. We'll go in maybe a purple one. Whoops, I'm changing the color of that line there. And there we go. Hit the escape key to kind of get out of that one. I need to draw a shape. We're going to circle. And that's a giant receptacle. I'm going to make this smaller. There we go. We got a circle. Use the shift key to slide it over. And I want this to be transparent. And I want the border color on this. I'm going to make that purple. And then I need to draw a couple lines on this thing. So I'm going to actually click out. I'm going to hit Control C and Control V to paste that one. And I'm going to put it up here. And then I need to draw my lines again as the receptacle lines. So I'm going to draw those outside of the line. That's not perfect, but it's pretty close. And let me Control click these. And then I'm going to use the arrow key to kind of line them up and place them in there. And we'll change that color to purple as well. And then if I click off of that, you can see I have lines going through that circle, which looks similar to this receptacle. Again, it's not perfect, but it gets you kind of the idea. And we got to do the same thing again to this other side. We're almost done. We would draw two lines to this side as well. So I'm not going to draw those in there. We'll save that for you. Now, the last thing I need to do, though, is I need to label this as a GFCI. So I'm going to click on one of these S's, and you got to click the border on it. Control C to copy it, Control V to paste. And let's place it right here. And I'm going to change this to say GFCI. But I need to make that text box a little bit larger so it fits there. So this receptacle is going to be GFCI. So what that means is if a little bit of water gets into this, it'll trip it inside here instead of going all the way back to the panel and electrocuting me. It turns it off right from the box here. So that protects me. And what you can do as an electrician is you can wire this receptacle to go directly to this one and then to the power supply so that this one is also protected by this GFCI circuit. So that's why a lot of times you'll only see one GFCI. Again, that's the little receptacle with the test and reset button on it. And that's there to protect you from water in case something like that happens. The last thing we need to do is we need to label this one so that this is a fan. And if you double click right inside it, you can put letters right inside the boxes. I'm going to hold down Shift and the left arrow key to select that text and make that a lot smaller. So it's just a little F inside there for fan. And that helps me see that that's a fan. Anything else is going to just be a light, an overhead light. So then we have these lights, this fan, and all of our switches. I don't have any three-way switches in this, but that right there is really what you would need to do to set up your design, then you can copy that, screenshot that, and paste that directly in here. So if you screenshot, again, that's Shift Windows S, and you can screenshot just the section that you need and then place it, delete this, and place it in there, and that will show me your finished design. After that, you can share it with me and you are finished.